Colbert County Schools Parent University. The workshop tonight is Family Support for Reading Success in Grades K through 3. I am Lori South, the local reading specialist at Colbert Heights Elementary, and I have with me to support me tonight Miss Christy Johnson with ARI and also Mr. Casey Tate with ARI. So we're so glad they're here. Reading daily matters. And I want you just to take a look at this graphic for a moment. It speaks volumes. Building in time to read daily is a wonderful way for parents to contribute to their child's success. So just look at this with me for a moment. The impact of reading 20 minutes per day. A student who reads 20 minutes per day will be exposed to approximately 1.8 million words per year and usually scores in the 90th percentile on standardized tests. That's huge. But what's even bigger is how much it goes down when the amount of reading goes down per day. Let's look at the next one. A student who reads 5 minutes per day will be exposed to approximately 282,000 words per year and scores in the 50th percentile on standardized tests. That's a drop of 40%. A student who reads 1 minute per day will be exposed to 8,000 words per year and scores in the 10th percentile on standardized tests. So we can see here from this graphic that research supports that reading every day, at least 20 minutes, makes a huge difference in your child's success. Family involvement matters also. Research shows that family engagement does several things. It improves reading outcomes. It creates positive attitudes towards reading. If you love to read and you share in the joy of reading with your child, you love reading. It strengthens the parent-child bonds through shared learning and through just spending time together. And it develops lifelong reading habits. The power of reading aloud develops vocabulary and comprehension. When I was teaching pre-K, one of the main things parents would ask me of those 4-year-olds is, how can I help my child read? How can I help my child love to read? They don't want to sit still for the books. And I would try to explain and try to reiterate to them, just read. Read if they're playing in the floor at your feet. Continue to read aloud. They're storing that vocabulary. They're storing the tone of your voice and the fluency that you're reading with and the rhythm and the rhyming words. Continue to read. That vocabulary and that comprehension is built through that oral language. It demonstrates fluency and expression when you're reading aloud to your child. You're the model. You're your child's first teacher. And the tone that you use when you're reading makes that story come to life for them. It creates shared experiences between you and your child. It builds listening skills. And it encourages discussion as they're getting older. So, one thing you want to do is create a reading-rich environment. And I've listed some things that you can do to make it a cozy, fun, inviting environment. The first one is designate a comfortable reading space. Pick out a spot that you and your child together have designated as the reading spot. It's their own special place with you. Make books easily accessible where your child can reach them and touch them and look through them. Display reading materials throughout your home. It can be environmental print. By environmental print, I mean things that they encounter in the environment, like the McDonald's logo. Almost every child knows what the McDonald's logo is. And that's one of the first stages of reading, is when they're recognizing that environmental print. Display it around your home. Encourage children to choose the books they read. If they aren't engaged, reading will become a chore rather than a cherished practice. But if you let them pick what they want to read, then it's much more meaningful. Read a variety of books across different subject areas. Make reading fun. You can use reading clubs and rewards, storytelling, art activities, creative writing. The list is endless. You have endless possibilities with what you can do with reading. Assign roles to the whole family. Get them involved in readers' theater. Give them each a part to do with their own special voices as they read the story to help make that story come to life for your child. Some key elements to include, and I'm going to break this down into several different components of reading. We're going to start with read aloud. We talked a little bit about read aloud, but we're going to dig a little bit more in depth with it. Choose books at the appropriate level. Now, I've listed something called the 5-finger rule. So the 5-finger rule basically means let your child pick a book, read a page out of that book. If they miss more than 5 words on that page, it's probably too hard. It's probably at a level that's a little difficult. If they miss 1 to 2 words on that page, it's probably too easy. You might want to challenge them a little more. But if they miss about 3 to 5 words, it's probably, as Goldilocks and the 3 Bears would say, just right. Model using an expressive voice, pausing at the punctuation marks, slowing down when there's a comma, getting excited at those exclamation marks. Point to the words as you read. This is so important. If you will point to the words, in education we call it track. And if you will teach your child to track and point to those words by modeling, that stores that in their visual memory. They associate that word you pointed to the word you just spoke. It also demonstrates that reading moves from left to right. And that's a skill they have to learn. When we first get a child sometimes in pre-K or kindergarten, and they've not been read to a lot at home, they'll pick up a book off the bookshelf, and they might turn it, they might flip it, and they might go this way. So one of the easiest ways, it's not hard at all, is just to read to them and track or point to each word you read in that left to right motion. Ask questions about the story to check for understanding. And don't wait until the very end. Pause through the story. Ask before you start reading. Prediction questions. Hold the cover up. What do you think this story is going to be about? It's not about the right answer. It's about giving an answer. It's about thinking about it. Making that prediction that may or may not be true once you get into the story. Pause during the story to check for understanding. Make sure they're understanding what you're reading. And then at the end, go back and ask questions to see if they recall what you read. Phonics practice. Phonics is when we're blending those letter sounds together to form words. Review letter sounds regularly. Play sound-based games like I Spy with letter sounds. I spy something that begins with a. Can you guess it? Good job. What do you spy? And let them play along with you. Practice blending sounds to read simple words. Cat, cat, cat. Introduce new words before reading. When you're reading a story or a 1-minute read, if your child's a little older, in 1st, 2nd, 3rd grade, they bring home those 1-minute fluency reads or comprehension passages, decodables. Go through that book and let them highlight the words that they don't know, the words they don't recognize. Write those on an index card or just write them down on a dry erase board or talk about them. Talk about what the word is, what do you think it means. Then when they encounter that word in their reading, they're more likely to know it. Discuss the meaning of the words in context, and have children use those new words in sentences. They need to apply those vocabulary to really know them. So after you've talked about it, after you've read it in context, discussed it some more for comprehension, then have them start using that word in a sentence. Comprehension strategies. Ask open-ended questions about the story. That just means don't ask a question that can be answered with a 1-word answer, like yes or no. Ask something that they have to elaborate on, that they have to really think about. Back it up with the details from the story. Encourage children to make predictions. We talked about that a moment ago. Before you start the story, what do you think is going to happen? Midpoint of the story, right when we get to that point that things are about to change at the climax, what do you think will happen next? What's your prediction? Discuss the main idea. What's this story mainly about? And why do you think that's the main idea? That's what the key details of the story are. And can you go back in the story and show me where those key details are to back up what you're saying? Interactive reading. These are fun. Read with me. Take turns reading sentences or paragraphs. Echo reading. Your child repeats after you read a sentence. And choral reading, you read together. Some key elements to include for engaging activities. You can create a reading nook with cozy blankets and pillows. That's like we talked about at the beginning, making it fun, making it exciting, making it a place that you want to go to, your special place, just to spend a little time together, reading a good book. If they're young, you could use puppets or stuffed animals. Let them act out the stories. Draw or color pictures about the story when you're finished reading it. Play word games like Scrabble or Boggle that build those decoding skills and those encoding skills. So those are some words parents ask about a lot when we use those as teachers. So decoding is just reading the words, blending the sounds together. And encoding is when you put that written part to it, when you're spelling it, when you're writing. So we're going to look at a handout, and we do have this handout for you. We've got one of those. And this is an in-depth look from the National Center for Education Evaluation and Regional Assistance. And this is a handout that gives you an in-depth look at 4 tips. And I'm going to give you lots of information tonight, so much that you'll have plenty when you leave, and you'll have lots of digital resources that you can refer back to after you leave here tonight. So this is one of them. Have conversations before, during, and after reading together. And you can see that that's important from kindergarten all the way through 3rd grade. Help children learn how to break sentences into words and words into syllables. Help children sound out words smoothly. And model reading fluidly by practicing reading aloud with your child. The best way for them to know what fluency sounds like is to hear someone modeling fluency daily when they're reading aloud. So I'm going to click this link here, and this is where it's your handout. I'm going to go in depth, and I won't spend the whole time on this because this is something you're going to take home with you. You'll have it at your fingertips to really dive into it and see what it's about. So as we go to this website, this resource is called Tips for Supporting Reading Skills at Home. Really great resource because when we get to page 3, it starts to break it down into those 4 areas. So number 1, have conversations before, during, and after reading together. Now this tells you that children that this is usually appropriate for is kindergarten through 3rd grade. And it tells you exactly what this is going to look like and gives you some ideas of what you can do. Have conversations when reading with children. That helps them develop higher level thinking and language skills, such as predicting, problem solving, contrasting, which is where you're comparing and telling the differences and the similarities. While reading books aloud, ask the child questions and talk about the content of the story together, before, during, and after reading. And then it's going to even go into some open-ended questions that you can use. So for informational or those nonfiction books, scroll down here, you could ask questions like, why do birds fly south for the winter? Why do you think from what we read, Johnny, that birds fly south for the winter? What in the story made you think that? That's those key details. What would happen if you planted a tree in the desert? Now remember, the answer does not always have to be factual or accurate, especially with younger readers. Sometimes you just want them thinking. You want them making predictions. You want them to be able to do what's called inferencing, which means they read the passage and the answer is not explicitly given to you in the passage, but you have to infer. You have to use all the information that you're given and kind of figure it out. So that's the skills that you're teaching when you ask these open-ended questions. Why is it important to recycle? This could even get into some opinion writing where you back up why you think it's important to recycle with your own opinion. Example questions for narrative books, and these are usually your fictional books. Sometimes they can be nonfiction, but they're your stories that are being told. Why did the character do what he did? What in the story led you to believe that? What else could she have done? That gets them to thinking and formulating their own opinions. If you were in that story, see how I'm making that connection for the child? I'm putting that child in that story. And if you were in this story, what would you have done and why? What skills will this practice help build? Having conversations about what they are reading helps children build vocabulary again and develop skills using language typically found in school settings. So you're doing the same thing with them at home that we're doing in the classroom. And that's just reinforcing those skills. Building their skills to think and connect ideas from many contexts allows children to follow more complex language, which they might find in stories, instructions, and descriptions of historical events or nature. So this is very in-depth, telling you different things you can do at home for that first one. Then it goes to number 2, helping children learn how to break sentences into words and words into syllables. Same format. Number 3, it'll go through. Get my mouse over there. There we go. Help children sound out words smoothly. It'll give you some different verbiage you can use between you and the child to help them. Showing them your mouth, the position of your mouth when you're sounding things out. And we also like to use mirrors in the classroom with young children or with children who are struggling to produce that sound correctly so that they can look at our mouth, they can look in the mirror at their own mouth, and they can see, am I making that sound correctly? And then number 4, model reading fluently by practicing reading aloud with your child. So this is a really good resource, and that's why I wanted to give it to you in handout form so that you can go back and you can look at it at your convenience. All right, we'll continue on. Key elements to include for engaging. Oh, we just did this one. There we go. Simple strategies to build strong readers. Now, I'm talking a lot right now, but in just a little bit, you're going to have some time to really think about some things and see some things demonstrated and ask questions if you need to. Read a child's favorite book over and over again. And I know this is hard for us as adults. We get bored easily. We've read it. Tommy, go put that book up, baby. I just read that to you last night. But you know what? Tommy loved that book and he wants to read it again and again and again and again. And that's okay. Because every time you're reading, you're tracking, you're pointing to those words you read aloud. He's storing it in his mind. He's visually seeing it. He's hearing that fluency. He's building that vocabulary. You're discussing the story. The oral language is increasing. You're doing magic. Keep reading that book over and over again. Read many stories with rhyming words and lines that repeat. Rhyming words are so important. And if a child comes to us in kindergarten and they've not heard very many books that rhyme, it's a tough concept for them to get. But it's a concept that they need to understand to be successful in reading and with fluency. Invite the child to join in on these parts. That's very easy. Roses are red, violets are blue. Sugar is sweet, and so are you. So you see how that works. You just pause and you let them fill in the part. Point word by word again. I keep putting this in here because this is so important. Point word by word as he or she reads along with you. Discuss new words. For example, this big house is called a palace. Who do you think lives in a palace? What is a palace? Stop and ask questions about the pictures and about what's happening in the story. And read from a variety of children's books, including fairy tales, song books, poems, and information books. Developing literacy through decoding. Remember, that's sounding out the words, being able to put them together, the sounds, sounding out the sounds and blending them to make a word. Building language and reading books to your children is important, but it's not enough to develop skilled literacy alone. Students will learn to blend letters together to decode or read text, and families can support decoding by helping their children gain knowledge about letter names, letter sounds, and how letters blend together to make words. Learning songs and games are fun ways to promote decoding skills. So these are pretty easy things so far, right? You can do it. Here's some interactive games that I've included on here, and I put a pretty good description so that if you need to Google them, you can. So this first one is REL, Southeast Family Involvement Guides, and I'm going to just briefly go through each one, show you what it looks like, so you'll know that you can go back to it. So the REL, and you can take notes and write these down if you're interested in these. REL Southeast K-Family Involvement. So there are all kinds of little videos that's supported by this organization that model and show you how to have dinner table talk. This is an art that we're losing because of our devices. We're losing the ability to have conversations, to look at each other face to face in the eye, to make that eye contact that will be needed later on in the job force. So having conversations and having dinner table talk is super important. But there are all kinds of videos here that it will show you just little snippets of what it looks like. All right, so I'm going to go to the next one. And this may keep me out of presentation mode on and off, but that's okay. Games to support early literacy skills from Rhode Island Department of Education. So some of these are extensive and lengthy, but this one has lots of different activities that it goes through explicitly how to play a game called Name That Sound. It tells you exactly what to do. Where is that sound? This is another game that tells you how to play it. So these are for your younger children, even toddlers, up until I would say kindergarten first, or maybe even some other developmental levels you can still play with as long as they enjoy playing it. Have fun and do it. All right, the next one we're going to go to is Florida Center for Reading Research Student Activities. Now, some of these activities will look like a teacher lesson plan, but remember what I said, you're your child's first teacher. You teach them at home, we teach them at school, and together as partners, we'll get them where they need to be. So I'm going to go to second and third so you can see what these look like. They'll look a little more advanced. So it breaks it down into the different areas that they might need to work on. So I'm going to go to syllable patterns. So let's try syllable scoops. So this tells you the student will segment syllables and words. Here's what you need. Ice cream cone header cards. Now these are resources that are available to print, to laminate if you have access to that, to use over and over. So if you have access to a printer, these are going to be some great resources for you. If you don't, there may be some that you can do without having to print. There may be some you can pull up on a tablet and do it that way. But you see how these are things that if you're able to print, cut out, use them to play the games, and it's going to give you the directions for exactly how to do it. No guesswork, very simple, very easy. The next one is Strong Readers, Mississippi. Now, yes, I know we're in Alabama, but we don't reinvent the wheel. We borrow from anyone who has something that's already proven to be successful or that's a really good resource, and we also share. So Strong Readers of Mississippi. This has some good information for you as well. I'll just kind of scroll through it for a second. Let you see what that looks like if you're interested in it. Breaks it apart into different things. Just gives you a lot of good information about school and about things that you can use. I'll hop over here to third grade. Scroll down. And then you see it breaks it apart into different activities that you can do. Let's say Your child needs to work on comprehension. They're struggling in reading comprehension at school in 3rd grade. So it gives you some things you can do to help with comprehension, like retelling. Tells you exactly how that would look. Story elements. Write a letter to the main character. Question the reader. An alternate ending. Research fun. Online games. Online resources. Even some printables. And then even a little wheel there to find just the right book. So this is a good resource I liked also. Louisiana believes family literacy and engagement. Literacy and engagement. Let me say that correctly. Scroll down. Lots of little games you can go to and supporting resources as well. Grab and go games, grab and go activities, activities for building literacy skills at home. I'm going to move a little quicker through the rest of these. You kind of get the idea. Literacy at Home Digital Children's Literacy Initiative. So this is going to give you some digital resources. Broken apart by grade level again. I really like these resources that are broken apart by grade level, as well as online libraries. While I'm on libraries, let me give a plug for our public libraries. If you are not visiting the public library, it is an awesome, awesome resource. Go get your library card and join. Check out those books. You don't even have to pay for them then. You can read them at home. And your school library is an amazing resource. This one right here is really cool. Interactive Alphabet Arc. So this is going to be just like the arc that I brought tonight to show you. And some of you have questions about it. I know if you have young children, they've seen this in the classroom. This is the lowercase alphabet arc when we start out. We're using the lowercase letters that we already have here to help them match and recognize. Then, as they get more proficient in it, those letters are going away. They're going to put them in order. Then we also have an uppercase as well. Same format. Well, this tool allows them to do it digitally when they're at home and you don't have these. So I'm going to go to my options. I would like to use lowercase letters because maybe I already know all of my uppercase. I don't want any hints because I'm getting really good at this. I don't want a hint for the colored vowels, but I do want to use the timer to see how quickly I can do it. Then I'm going to start. Look, my letters are missing. I'm going to click to start my timer. First letter.
Hey.
A. I'm going to drag it over here, drop it on the A. What's the next letter? B. Next letter? C. So you get the gist of it. And then I would try to make it, now if I'm a 3rd grader, I need to make it in 1 minute or less. And then you can check it when you're finished. Additional resources, there's that interactive alphabet arc again. I liked it so much, I put it on both. Reading Rockets. This is a really good website for all kinds of reading resources. You hear the term science of reading, multisensory strategies. Those are the things that we know are best practices for teaching your children now. And so this resource has lots of good information on that. But they have these great things. If you have access to a printer, again, this is really good, but they're called Reading Adventure Packets for Families. I'm going to show you what they look like really quickly. All right. So I'm going to go down here. Here's pre-K and kindergarten. And a lot of these are nonfiction. Grades 1 and 2. So I'm just going to go, let's say, we are getting out and we're talking about rocks in the environment and we might paint some rocks, and I'm going to see what kind of activities there are for the first and 2nd graders that has to do with rocks. There's some suggested books. There's a PDF that goes through all the different things you can do. And again, this is a resource that's going to kind of look like a lesson plan that's laid out for you. Everything that you can do at home tells you exactly step by step some things to do to foster that love of learning and incorporate literacy or reading. Another one is Reading Buddies. Now this is for all different ages. This is a YouTube channel.
I'm a buddy. Reading Buddies is the show that mashes up the science of reading with inclusivity to teach reading more effectively to kids of all abilities. Watch for free weekdays at 12:30 p.m. on your local PBS station, WCNY.
So if you go down just a little bit, you can see that there are Reading Buddy videos, short little videos, for almost every phonics skill that you can think of. So if they need a little TV time, and a little is okay, but put them on something educational that they can learn as well. This is a good resource. And then there again, I have your local school library. I know our librarian at Colbert Heights, Miss Michael, is amazing, and she has all kinds of digital books. She even reads a book aloud and records herself reading it so that the kids can listen to it from home. They can listen to it in a classroom. That's something that she's recently started. She has online book library. She has AVL, Alabama Virtual Library March. She has Pebble Go. She has resources for research on there. All kinds of good resources on our school library pages. So don't forget about your amazing school librarians and their pages. Get creative. All right, here's some things that we're going to talk about if you have questions. I have some things here that I'll show you. So handwriting. My child is having trouble. They don't want to write. Well, there's a proper pencil grip. We have to talk about that and make sure they're holding their pencil correctly. And there's research out there on that, and I have a handwriting guide that I can show you if you're interested in that and your child is struggling with that. Just see me when we're finished. Skywriting. So when you skywrite, you want big movements. You want to put your hand right here on your elbow. Stand up. Okay, got it? Put your hand right here on your elbow, 2 fingers out. We're going to write the letter A, lowercase a. Around, big movements, and back down. What letter? A. Ready? Let's do it again. Around, back down. What letter? A. You can even work in the sound. What sound does the letter A make? A. Wiki sticks. I like wiki sticks. I've been using this in kindergarten with the teachers and the students. So wiki sticks, if you don't know what these are, they're these little sticky things. And we've been building letters with our wiki sticks. So down here, we'll use them. They kind of stick to the paper. And push them down a little. And you can build. You can cut them in half. They can trace over and build it on top of the template. And then they can build their own. They can make words with it. So if they're struggling with letter formation, this is a good multi-sensory tool that they can use. And you can also, if you don't want to go buy wiki sticks, you can boil some spaghetti noodles where they're just a little bit al dente, and they can do it with those. Shaving cream, they love to write in shaving cream. They love to write their letters in shaving cream, their name in shaving cream, math problems in shaving cream, sight words in shaving cream, high frequency words in shaving cream, vocabulary words, you get the picture. And then it kind of cleans your tables and it smells good too. Sandpaper. Multi-sensory, they're feeling. You can trace the letter with a marker or a Sharpie on sandpaper, and then they can trace it with their finger to learn those strokes, to feel those strokes that are used to build that letter. Gel bags. Dig out that 80s hair gel, 80s and 90s. Put it in a Ziploc bag, seal it really well with some duct tape, and you can even put sparkly glitter in it. Underneath it, if you use clear, you can put piece of paper that has the big letter A written on it, and they can just, over the top of that gel, they can trace that letter, trace those words. It's a fun thing for them to do. Keep a lined alphabet template handy. If they are struggling with correct formation of their letters, and it's very important to form their letters correctly, keep one of these handy, and I have some extra tonight if you need one. Keep it handy so that they can go back and they can look. And encourage them. If you're struggling with how to make that letter correctly, or you've forgotten, or you're making it incorrectly, go back and look at the strokes that are required. Elkonin boxes. Now that's a teacher term, so you may not be familiar with it, but Elkonin boxes look like this. And here's one that we can put 2 to 3 sounds in. Here's one that we can put 4 sounds in. And we push our sounds into the box. So I'm going to pick up one that I can hold. And I have some magnetic counters. And I'm going to push a sound into the box. Now you can have this drawn on a table. You can have index cards or pieces of cut paper set out to look like this. You can put a cotton ball or a bean or just touch it with your finger. Balls of Play-Doh, all kinds of things. The key is multisensory. You're saying the sound, you're touching something while you're pushing the sound or saying the sound, and then you're going to blend the sounds, and later on, you can write the letters that go with the sounds. So we use these L-Conan boxes to help us separate those different sounds, or phonemes, which is what we call sound. And I remember phonemes by phone. Tap, push, slide counters to represent the sounds. So, somebody give me a word.
Cat.
Cat. So let's count the sounds in it. Hold your fist up with me. Cat. What's the first sound you hear? I'm going to push a sound. Ah. 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 So I pushed. First I counted. I pushed. I tapped. Now let's see if we can slide it together. At. Cat. Good job. Let's do one more together. Who has another word?
Fish.
Fish. I was thinking of that. Fish. Let's count the sounds. E. Sh. So sh is how many sounds? 1. Fish. So we need how many? 3. Let's push. E. Sh. Now when we write that later, we're going to have to know that sh is made with 2 letters, but it's going to go in that one box because it makes one sound. Fish. Fish. So this is the L-Conan boxes, and these are the counters that we use in the classroom. But you can do the same activity at home with some simple supplies that you have at home. So phoneme, grapheme, mapping, that's where I was saying the written sound later will come into play. So we can slide this back up and we can say and write F. I and write I. Sh and write SH to spell fish. Phonemic awareness activities, that's where you're just doing it with your voice. They're listening and they're manipulating those words. If I give you the word hat, say hat.
Hat.
And I say change the beginning sound of hat to p. What's the new word?
Pat.
Pat. If I say change the beginning sound of pat to s, what's the new word?
Sat.
If I say change the ending sound of sat to what's the word? Sound. Good job. So you're listening and you're manipulating those sounds just by listening and changing those. You're not writing anything with phonemic awareness. Hart's word strategy. So heart word strategy is part of the science of reading, and we've learned that instead of just memorizing those high frequency sight words, instead of just memorizing them, it's better to look at the parts that make the regular normal sound. And then all you have to learn is the irregular part. So I'm going to use the back of this to write. So let's do the word is. So instead of just saying, this is the word is, this is the word is. Everybody say is. Now you should know what's the word is. Tomorrow, they won't know the word is. So instead of just memorizing it, is there a part of this word that makes the normal sound, the everyday decodable sound? We have it and we have z. Do either one of those letters make the normal sound? Which one? E. So this one is decodable. We can sound it out. We know it. We don't have to put anything over it. But this one does not say s. What does it say? Z. So that one, I need to put a heart over that until I learn that this makes an irregular sound. Is. And if I need to, I can put a little Z up there to remind me, just to help me. So this is a heart word. When I know what this word is, I no longer need the heart. It's just a word I know. And the goal is to get rid of those hearts eventually, to not need them. Word family flip books. You can take some cards, some paper, and have an AM book, AM, and cut your paper and staple it so that it's or Sam, ham, lamb. Would that be a real word or a nonsense word? Lamb, Lam. Would that be real? It sounds real, but it's not because of the way it's spelled. So you can mix some nonsense words in it. I would start out with the real words for the word family, and then later on you can mix in some nonsense words to challenge them. Fluency practice. Practice, 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 practice. People ask me all the time, what can I do to help them on that 1 minute read? Read it, reread it, reread it, reread it again. Talk about those words they don't know in it before you read it. Talk about it during, when you've read it. Talk about it after. Some other things you can do, fluency pyramids or fluency trees. This is an example. Sam had. Sam had a. Sam had a big. Sam had a big red. Sam had a big red ball. So it's teaching them how to read fluently. Chunk phrases. You want it to have a sing-song rhythm when you're reading, not reading like a robot that's monotone. Record your student reading. Listen to the recording. Let them listen to that recording of themselves reading. They can even mark the errors like they're the teacher. And then have them set some goals. Johnny, you got 10 right tonight. You got 10 words correct. Tomorrow night, what do you want to try for? 15. That's a good goal. Let's see if you can get it. Spotlight, read with a flashlight. That's fun. Read your words with a flashlight. Build silly sentences. Dictation. I give you a sentence. You repeat the sentence, and then you can dash out how many words are in a sentence. So we're breaking it down to make it a little easier for them instead of just saying, the cat is black. The cat is black. How many words in that sentence? 4. The cat is black. Period. Now you're ready to write each word of the sentence on the lines. Concentration game for high frequency words and letter names or sounds. Again, index cards, paper cut up, write a high frequency word twice, one on each card, hide them all together, or letters or sounds, and then have them find them. When they turn the card over, they have to tell you what it is, what letter, what sound, what word. All right, so we also have a lot of support from the Alabama Reading Initiative. We call that ARI. You'll hear us say that a lot, and they are here with us tonight to support us. But we have a lot of different resources that ARI has given us for families. Here's just some of the things they have. Family and community modules, family and community Facebook page, family and community newsletters. So I'm going to go through a few of these, and I have some handouts for you also. Family and community support resources. So they have done a one-page handout that has all of these QR codes, and it will take you into all different kinds of activities for oral language, phonological awareness, phonics, fluency, comprehension, all different kinds. And we're going to pass those out. And that way you will have those to take home with you. You can look at them. If you have access to a printer, you can print them at home. Lots of good family activities. And you don't have to print them either. You can just read through them and do some of them with your child. My Child Can booklets. These are great. They're broken apart by age level. They tell you what the Alabama Course of Study standards are related to that topic, to that component like oral language. They tell you what your child can do with those, what families can do to support that. They also give you some digital resources for children and for parents. Now, I have some up here if you want to look at them when we're finished. But we also have a handout with the QR codes again. This one right here. And those will be available for you to take home as well. So I wanted you to have as much as you can leave with tonight so that you don't say, now what was she talking about? I know she had a really good resource, but I can't remember how to get to it. Family and community newsletters. Now this is really cool, and Ms. Johnson is actually one of the people in the state who helps build this newsletter. So if there's anything, Ms. Johnson, you want to stop and talk about, you feel free to. So I have a QR code for you. The last one we have is the Winter Literacy Newsletter. They're working on the spring one now. Are these released, Ms. Johnson, quarterly? Quarterly, okay. So, all right, so this Winter Literacy Newsletter, if you want to scan it really quickly, you can scan it and pull that up. But I'm going to show you up here as well if you don't have a QR reader on your phone tonight or don't have your phone. So I'm going to go up to the top. And guys, we are almost to the end. We have saved the best for last. Winter Literacy Newsletter. Now this is packed full of some good stuff. So there's winter literacy activities. There's a story about The Mitten by Jan Brett. It's an online story that's read aloud. There's phonological awareness activities. Tells you exactly what you can do to play those little games. There's also some little snippets you can go to, like little technology resources, some things. They try to make these games, Ms. Johnson said, where the materials that you need are usually things that you're going to have at home. And you can just easily play that at home. So it tells you exactly how to do it. There's another I Spy game for phonics. It tells you the directions for it. Here's some vocabulary. Homograph fun. There's another game. Rhyme time. It also gives you a PDF where you can pull up and download that for rhyme time, comprehension, comparing and contrasting. Gives you some more read aloud stories, how to make connections when you're reading the story. We talked about how important it is to make connections. These are some strategies they've given you and tips to tell you exactly how to do that. Some more for fluency, some links to some songs to build fluency, some tips for reading together, writing and pre-writing skills, a poem for winter that they can do, how to build an acrostic poem, wintertime bookshelf, lots of different books they've reviewed and written a summary for that are great. Go to that public library, check it out at school. And you've got a lot of them there. Scan the QR code for additional resources, some past newsletters for winter. And here's something really cool. So I'm going to pause right here. And if you have your device, I'm going to go back to the other slide. But I'm going to show you that you can, right here tonight, you can get signed up for this newsletter and it will start coming to you through your email. So I'm going to show you what that's going to look like. It's a very simple, quick form. You're going to put your email, so they can email it to you, your name, your role, you're the parent, institution, you can put Cobbett County Schools if you want, you can put home, just need to fill that in, and then your email address again and click submit. And that's all you need to do, but I'm going to take you back to the QR code where you can scan that if you have your device and get you signed up tonight. Now, if you can't sign up for this or if you don't want to, don't worry. I get this by email from Ms. Johnson as well, and I always post it on our Dojo website, Dojo Communication, so you can get it on Dojo. Or if you're not from Cobbett Heights Elementary, if your child doesn't go there, your local reading specialist will be happy to share that with you. Just reach out to them or your child's teacher. And I think they are also on a website that we're going to go to. All right, Alabama Literacy Act. There's lots of questions on the Alabama Literacy Act. This is a quick video. I have two videos for you. They're both very short, less than 5 minutes. One is the Alabama Literacy Act. It will answer most of your questions. Very easy to understand. And then the second one is ACAP, which is the state test that we take, second grade and up. So we're going to watch these.
Once everything's perfectly organized, I'll start working on my thesis.
The Alabama Literacy Act. The Alabama Literacy Act, or ALA, was passed and signed into law in 2019 by Governor K-3. While there is a retention component for third grade students, the law was written as a prevention law, and works to ensure students enrolled in Alabama public schools are reading on or above grade level by the end of the 3rd grade. Included within the law are multiple avenues for intervention, along with teacher training and evidence-based ways to teach reading, often referred to as the science of reading. Also within the ALA are guidelines requiring the administration of an approved universal screener given at the beginning of the year to all kindergarten through 3rd grade students to determine areas in which extra instruction may be needed. The screeners are administered again at the middle and the end of the year to monitor growth. A student reading improvement plan will be written for any students who show a consistent deficiency on the universal screener. The student reading improvement plan documents the extra intensive instruction to be received by the student and serves as a guide to further instructional opportunities. Parents will receive notification regarding this plan and should be informed of student progress monthly. Additionally, parents will receive a Read at Home plan, which includes parent-child activities that support learning. In the spring, all 2nd and 3rd grade students will take the Alabama Comprehensive Assessment Program, also known as ACAP. The results will be used to determine whether a student is reading at or above grade level by comparing the score on the reading portion of the ACAP to the state-assigned cut score. Students who don't meet the benchmark on the spring ACAP administration and students who have a student reading improvement plan will be invited to participate in a summer reading camp. 3rd grade students can take the ACAP supplemental reading assessment given at the end of reading camp to try and meet the benchmark. Additionally, a Literacy Act portfolio, or LAP, which contains evidence pieces that demonstrate knowledge of identified essential standards may be created. At a minimum, a reading portfolio should be started for all rising 3rd graders who scored at the lowest achievement level on the reading subtest of the ACAP summative assessment in 2nd grade. A portfolio may be started at any time during the student's 3rd grade year, including at the beginning of summer camp. Based upon input from the school level team, additional students may require portfolios as well. A portfolio will follow the student to a new school or school district if the student moves. This portfolio is intended to be an alternate pathway for promotion if the ACAP benchmark is not reached. Because the ALA is intended to prevent reading deficiencies, we owe it to our students to provide them with every opportunity to gain the knowledge of the standards so that they can be successful in 4th grade. However, the path to promotion for some students may need to be one of the identified good cause exemptions. The good cause exemptions are considered to be the final path to promotion. After considering all the pathways to promotion, the local education agency, also known as the district, will make the final decision. All aspects of the Alabama Literacy Act will be enforced beginning in the 2023-2024 school year. For additional information, please contact your local school or visit www.alabamaachieves.org.
So hopefully that answered a lot of your questions about the Literacy Act. I also have a handout that's frequently asked questions, as well as the pathways to promotion. So you notice I said pathways. So a lot of questions that I get from the Literacy Act itself is, so if my child doesn't pass the ACAP, they don't go to 3rd grade. Well, that's not true, because there are several pathways to promotion that you just saw in that video. And they'll also be referenced in the handout. All right, one more quick video that will answer some of your questions about the ACAP, which is the Alabama Comprehensive Assessment Program. That is a statewide test that we take beginning in 2nd grade.
Let me show you how to block this ad. First, you're going to click on this video, then you're going to download an ad. It's an ad blocker. The Alabama Comprehensive Assessment Program, or ACAP summative. What should families know about the ACAP summative? In this video, we will answer these questions. What does the Alabama Literacy Act state about assessments? What is the Alabama Comprehensive Assessment Program, or ACAP summative? How does the ACAP summative connect to 3rd grade pass promotion? What information does the ACAP summative reports provide? The Alabama Literacy Act was passed and signed into law in 2019 by Governor K-3. as a prevention law in order to ensure students enrolled in Alabama public schools are reading on or above grade level by the end of third grade. Within the Alabama Literacy Act are guidelines requiring the administration of an approved universal screener, often referred to as an early youth assessment, given at the beginning of the year to all kindergarten through third grade reading students to determine areas in which extra instruction may be needed. The screeners are administered again at the middle and the end of the year to monitor growth. They may also be used for ongoing progress monitoring by the child's teacher. In the spring, all 7th through 8th grade students will take the ACAP Summit Assessment. The assessment provides students, parents, teachers, administrators, and Alabama citizens with information regarding students' progress toward mastery of the Alabama Course of Study standards in English language arts, math, and science. It's administered online and is also used for student, school, and district accountability systems like the ALSDE report card. The purpose of the assessment is to ensure students making progress toward mastery of grade level standards and to inform instructional decision making that will lead to increased student learning outcomes. In accordance with the Alabama Literacy Act, the ACAP Summative Reading Subtest is the first path to promotion for Alabama third graders. The results will be used to determine whether a student is reading at or above grade level by comparing the score on the reading portion of the ACAP Summative Assessment to the state assigned cut score. Students who don't meet the assigned cut score on the spring ACAP Summative Assessment and students who have a student reading improvement plan will be invited to participate in a summer reading camp. As a second path to promotion, third grade students can take the ACAP Supplemental Reading Assessment given at the end of the reading camp to try and meet the assigned cut score. There is a lot of important information the ACAP Summative Individual Student Reports provide. Educators and families can use these reports to guide the design of instructional steps to increase learning outcomes. This is a sample of the ACAP Summative Reading Subtest Student Report. The reading status descriptors explain what it means to perform below grade level or on or above grade level. Your student's reading status is indicated with a check mark in the box. Your student's scale score for reading can range from 100 to 780. Below, there is a chart that shows the cut score or minimum expectation. The chart will show where your student's score falls in relation to the cut score. Below the chart showing the cut score and your student's scale score, you will see another chart. This chart shows your students' results for each set of reading skills that were tested on the ACAP Summative Reading Subtest. You can see how many points were possible for each set of reading skills, how many points your student scored, and the percentage of possible points your student answered correctly. As part of our efforts to support families, we would like to direct you to our literacy repository. We hope that this video and our literacy repository are valuable resources to support our partnership with Alabama families and their efforts to continue learning beyond the school day. For additional information, please contact your local school or visit www.alabamaachieves.org.
All right, so again, you see that there are multiple pathways to promotion and not just the one ACAP summative test. All right, so we do have parents ask sometimes, what can I do to help my child prepare for the ACAP? Well, again, ARI and the State Department has released some practice tools that we use in the classroom, as well as access that can be granted, that have been given for you to use at home with your child. So I'm going to show you this very quickly. And this
Work today is broken. We're all working in too many disconnected apps, and it's killing team productivity.
Families, did you know there are ACAP Summative student tutorials and online tool training available to students and families to view and practice item types that are similar to those appearing on the spring ACAP assessment? These tools allow students to become familiar with the test engine that will be used for the administration of the ACAP summative. First, Access the Insight portal on the following link. Next, select ACAP Summative Online Tools Training. Select a grade level. Select English Language Arts, and then sign in using the username and password provided. The next screen to appear should begin with the sentence that reads, "Welcome Training Student." Click the green button. Finally, select your English Language Arts training session and begin. Thank you to the ALSDE assessment team for making this resource available to our families. We hope that you find this tool useful as you continue to promote literacy and learning beyond the school day.
And if you do not find that on your school-wide dojo, you can reach out to your local reading specialist or your classroom teacher, and we will get that resource to you. Thank you for coming tonight. Your attendance and your support are crucial in your child's success. We are partners together, and we are so happy to partner with you. I'm going to end with a quote, "Reading well is at the heart of all learning." So thank you. We'll be around for a little while. If you have any questions, please make sure you pick up some resources that we have available. And if you have any questions or need me to go back to any of these website links, I'm happy to do that. Thank you and have a great night.